back on recording my introductory Spanish series. We're going to talk about gustar and encantar. You would use these words to show that you like something or love something, respectively. Gustar for liking and encantar for loving. To form a sentence with these two words, you should use the following formulas. First, you would need me, te, le, nos, os, or les. These are called indefinite pronouns, and they correspond with the conjugation forms. Me conjugates with the yo form, te conjugates with the tu form, le conjugates with the el, ella, and usted form, nos conjugates with the nosotros form, os conjugates with the vosotros form, and les conjugates with the ellos, ellas, and ustedes forms. Then you would add either gusta or encanta. You could, when you use these two words, you can show that you either like a noun or you like a verb. If you want to use a noun, you need a definite article, either el or la. After that, you can throw in any noun or verb, but keep in mind that it has to be singular for if you're using a noun. For example, me gusta comer. I like to eat. Nice simple sentence. However, it's a little different if you want to use a plural subject. You would still keep the indefinite pronoun. However, instead of using gusta or encanta, you'd use gustan or encantan, which is the plural form. You'd use a plural definite article to match up with it as well. In this case, you could use los libros. And then don't forget the noun don't forget the plural noun. Gustar literally translates to is pleasing to me, and encantar is very pleasing to me. Let's see some couple examples. I mentioned me gusta comer. It's a simple sentence using gustar that means I like to eat. Me gustan los libros or books. This means that I like the books, all the books, because I have a plural subject here. Instead of using gusta, you can use encanta if you really love something. Like, for example, me encanta comer, which means I love to eat. If you also love those books, you can even say me encantan los libros. Keep in mind that whenever you use, keep in mind that you can never use the plural form of gustar or encantan if you have a verb, since a verb has no plural form. You'd only use it with a noun. Let's move on to something a little different. However, it's still related to gustar and encantar. For emphasis or that you or anyone else likes something, you should use what is called a personal A. It works as follows. You would use this. A plus me, ti, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes. Again, you can notice that these are very similar to the conjugations. However, me and ti are a little different. And don't forget the accent on me. And then after that, you would just add the rest of a gustar type sentence. Remember the me, ti, él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes? Remember, it has to match with the subject. For example, a mí me gusta el lápiz, which means I like the pencil. It's a stressed version. Or a usted le gustan los globos, the balloons. A ti te gusta pintar, which means you like to paint. And the final sentence, a nosotros nos gustan los cuadernos, or notebooks. Let's learn how to describe people as well. Remember, when you're describing characteristics, use ser, not estar. Stress, ser, not estar. Estar is thrown out the window. Don't use it right now. However, it is quite simple, really. Just put the subject, then ser, and after that, the adjective you want to use. Oye, keep in mind that the adjective has to match in gender and in number with the subject. Let's look at two different examples. The first example, el gato es pequeño, which means the cat is small. Notice how I conjugated ser in the el, ella, usted form. Anything which is not a person should be conjugated in el, ella, usted. In this case, I am saying the cat, and the cat is small. Pequeño is small. The next sentence is a little different. It still keeps the same general idea. However, look at the word amarillas. This is not its natural form. Its natural form would be amarillo, which means yellow. Reading the whole sentence, you would get Las paredes son amarillas, which means the walls are yellow. Notice how Las paredes is a feminine subject, and so amarillo changes to amarilla. This is a common trend for most adjectives, as adjectives that end in O can change their O into an A to match with the feminine form. And also, Las paredes is plural, so you would add an S in front of amarillas to make it plural. Let's move on to date and time. Telling the date in Spanish is a little different than the date in English. In English, we would say that today is March 18th. However, in Spanish, literally translated, we would say that today is the 18th of March. Remember to use ser. I'll teach you all the estar stuff later. Just use ser for now. Ser, 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 ser. It only exists right now. Here's how it would look. Hoy es el 18 de marzo. Well, I wrote this on the 18th of March, so I just decided to use the date. The general formula, which is hoy es, which means today is, notice the ser, plus the day in numbers, plus de, plus month. De is a preposition, is a word meaning of. In this case, since the date is the 18th of March, I would replace de with 18, which means 18, and the month with marzo, which means March. Let's move on to the time, which is something which I don't have much of. Telling time in Spanish, however, is quite easy. Remember the question, ¿qué hora es?, which means, what time is it? Remember this formula if you want to tell the time. Ser, which is either es or son, depending on how many hours. Una, I'll explain this later. Plus la or las, again depending on how many hours. Plus the hour. Make sure it's feminine. Uno is actually a sound looks masculine, but you would change it to a feminine form and make it una. Plus y, and then after that, plus minutes. For example, son las 7:40, which means it is 7:40. Notice the las here. I put las since it's multiple hours. If it was la una, for example, it was 1:40, for example, I would use es since it's not a plural subject anymore. La una y 40. I'm just going to keep the minutes. I'm too lazy to think of any other things. Here's some other useful phrases. Cuarto, which means quarter. You can use this to replace a minute instead of saying quince, it's 15. It's like a shorthand form. Media is half hour, which also can be used to replace minutes instead of 30 or 30. Una hora is the literal translation for 1 hour. And here's another special thing about time. Instead of just saying that it's 7 and 40 minutes past 7, you can even say it's 20 minutes to 8. Well, I wrote this sentence at 7:45, that's why it's a little different. Menos is a literal translation meaning less. You should use this if it's closer to the next hour instead of the passing hour. Since it was 7:45 when I wrote this, I would use the phrase son las ocho, which is the hour plus 1, because you're saying it's to 8 and not from 8. Menos cuarto, which means I am subtracting 15 minutes from it. Okay, thank you for watching. Next episode, I will contain a quiz as well to test